He's right on it. There we go. Oh, it's a giant. Oh yeah. That's what you call chewing shrimp maggots with bait fuel. My goodness. You know what? The fish was just staring at it and I was just twitching it in front of them, and the whole time he was staying there. That's a beautiful crappie. Look at that. And yeah, he just choked it. Nice little pink shrimp maggot, bait fuel. These ones are actually infused with bait fuel, and that doesn't hurt. Add a little bit more bait fuel to the top. That's what we come here for. Big, beautiful, dark water crappie. So today is really a day all about testing out different bait fuel products. So bait fuel is really offered in two different formats. You can either have it directly in a gel format that's in a bottle, or you can have it directly infused into all the different STH soft plastics. So you'll notice on the bag, it'll say Baitfuel X55. And the process to get the bait fuel into it is actually done directly into the plastic injection. So what ends up happening is once the baits are injected or infused with bait fuel, because bait fuel is water-based, it really does activate when it hits the water. And we've noticed, we've been fishing, especially this morning was really cold, and we've been fishing fish that are really in almost a neutral to a negative mode. And the moment we, we put the baits with bait fuel infused into the water, we really noticed that everything kind of came to life. And it's tough to understand until you actually see it. You can have your flasher or your live scope be completely dead, and with a few minutes of actually jigging, that scent disperses in the water and it actually brings fish in from a good distance. The other option to bait fuel, like I mentioned earlier, it being in the bottle format, allows you to either spice up your existing STH bait fuel product or put it onto a different product. Now, because it's topical, it won't last necessarily as long as, for example, being infused into the bait, but it allows you to put it on a bunch of different applications, a bunch of different baits. You can even put it onto hard baits as well and leave that scent trail, which, generally will trigger those fish from going from a neutral to more of a positive mode in their feeding. There it is. All right, we're in business now, Jesse. And we got fish here. All right, well, what I really like to do especially when I'm crappie fishing, is I really want to try to find small depressions, small channels. Crappies will often, get schooled up in some of the deeper holes. So if you can either find, deeper holes in the dark water, 10, 15, 20 feet, or like a small depression on a flat, like what we're fishing right now is, a flat that's 6, 7, or I should say 4 or 5 feet of water. And you have these small depressions that are 6, 7 feet in the middle of these flats. And I think the fish actually kind of use them as a migratory route or a feeding route as they move in and out of the back of these canals and channels. So ideally, a little bit of a depression when you're fishing this. We often try to just twitch the rod tip a little bit to just try to trigger the strike, because these fish might just stay there and stare at it, and then it's that one little rod twitch that upsets them, and then they attack it. I don't know. I almost think they're not always feeding. I think sometimes it's just a reactionary bite. So the setup's pretty easy, especially when it's really cold and the fish are shut down. I really like to downsize the baits. So right now, what we're fishing today are shrimp maggots from Set the Hook. These ones are infused with bait fuel. And what I do is, I think this is a 1/32 ounce jig head. So just a standard traditional jig head. And you'd rig it like you'd basically rig any soft plastic onto a jig head. So it's nice and easy. It's a real finesse technique. And I'll just kind of show you guys the setup over here. So nothing, really nothing fancy. What we do is we just rig it up onto the jig head like this. Makes a real natural little presentation like this that the fish can't resist. And the crappie absolutely love it. Come on, eat it. He's right on it. Oh, yeah. The shrimp maggot bait fuel does the trick again. As you guys can see, can't keep it, buddy. Nice big, beautiful, dark water crappies. Sun came out, it got a lot warmer. Went from like -12, -15 to probably -3 or 4 right now. And yeah, all of a sudden we've noticed these feeding windows have opened up, and now it's 5, 6 crappies in the last 15, 20 minutes. So I think we're definitely gonna light them up right now. Uh-oh. Oh my God, it's a giant. It's an absolute monster. That is a big crappie. Look at the size of that crappie. They are absolutely chewing that shrimp maggot. Well, today we're really experiencing 2 days in one. So this morning started off where it was a little bit overcast. It was really cold this morning, and the fish were really in a neutral to negative mode, and we were catching a lot of smaller crappies. So now as it's warmed up and we've kind of followed these fish a little bit into the back of these canals, we've really decided, and especially as the bites picked up with the sun coming out and the temperature rising, we've decided to increase the size of our baits to try to target some of the larger fish. So what I'm fishing right now is a sword grub from Set the Hook. They're infused with Baitfuel. What I'm doing is I'm simply just putting it onto a small jig head, and kind of the same technique you'd be using for really a smaller Finesse plastic. But all we're doing to keep life easy, we're just beefing up our presentation. So we actually have it over here. It gives you a good idea of what it looks like. And we're just finessing it through the hole, looking for some bigger crappie. There you go. So the bite has really picked up now. We're absolutely knocking it out of the park in the last half an hour or so. You guys can probably see the sun is out. It was really cold this morning and the temperature's just been rising. And we've been literally noticing every degree the temperature's been rising, the fish have been just firing up even more. So there's really three main factors when it comes to triggering a fish to strike. So the first one being obviously the visual appeal of a bait. So that's one of the advantages we have with Set the Hook baits is, I mean, they're absolutely gorgeous. They're so natural in the water. The second one is obviously the color. So you need to have the proper color for the type of water that you're fishing. The third point, and probably the most important, is the smell and the taste of the bait. And that's where the new Set the Hook baits are really excelling, is the fact that there's bait fuel that has now been infused into the plastic injection process. So what that's done for us today is it's taken a really negative or neutral fish and it's just created a whole bunch of action in the hole. It's built confidence and we've gotten a ton of bites. We also have the bait fuel available in the gel format. And where that becomes advantageous is if you want to spice up your already infused Set the Hook bait fuel baits, it works great. Or you can add it to another soft plastic or a hard bait. So whether you're fishing a hammered minnow, a freedom flash, a turnback shad, it'll leave a scent trail and it'll attract the fish in and create a lot more strikes.